Hello world, it's Godzilla with you once again. Hope you guys are doing well. Got another video for you. A bit of big news that just hit this week. We just got out of Tokyo City Comic-Con and there was some news surrounding Ultraman hooking up with Marvel on some new projects for next year. Also some other cool little toys and figures got announced as well. Some of the big news that just hit concerning Godzilla vs. Kong, and a slight disappointment because of a delayed release date. Yes, that's right. Don't be expecting Godzilla vs. Kong anytime in March because it's getting pushed back a bit. But I'll cover all of that in this vlog. Stay tuned.
Surging up from the depths of the sea on a tidal wave of terror to wreak vengeance on mankind. A gigantic beast, cavalcade of electrifying horror.
A lot of news just kind of hit this week. We're just coming out of Tokyo City Comic-Con, and now we've got this news about Godzilla vs. Kong. It was just announced today that Godzilla vs. Kong is being delayed from March, I believe it was release date, to November 20th, 2020. It's about 8 months back that it's being pushed. Of course, that's going to be difficult for a lot of fans. I know some of us were really excited for this film. A move like this is gonna kind of be seen by a lot of people as like the studio maybe trying to change things because of the performance of Godzilla King of the Monsters, and everybody keeps talking about the box office for that film, and this may have had an effect. Yes, I'm a little disappointed that it was pushed back, but at the same time, maybe this might be better in the long run. Just because there hasn't really been any marketing for this film. Nothing has come out yet. There was nothing at Comic-Con. They've been super quiet about it. Like, I've heard really not that much publicly. Like, they've been going to expos and stuff, but like no real trailers, behind the scenes, nothing to the general public yet. And I was like, there's no way this movie can come out in like 4 months and there not be a trailer yet. I think it's a good thing because now they can take their time with the marketing. You know, we could probably get a trailer next month and then possibly another trailer in either spring or in summer. Definitely for Comic-Con we'll get another trailer. And I think they can take their time to really build up the hype for this film. I hope they're not pulling like a DC Cinematic Universe move where what they did with Suicide Squad, where they took that and they cut it up last minute before it came out because Dawn of Justice didn't do well and it ended up just being like a mess. So I hope that, you know, they're gonna use these 8 months to really take their time with the film and figure it out and try and maybe solve some of the problems with King of the Monsters in order to get maybe a better success at the box office. Also, you know, it's probably just better timing, you know, it's like March is going to be filled with a bunch of releases. It just all makes sense because they were being so quiet about it. We weren't really hearing anything about it. No trailer, no marketing, no promotion. We've got this poster, this banner design, and that's it. You know, we've gotten like things at expos and stuff like that, but there's been no hype being built for it until now. And so we understand, you know, I think it would have just been better if they told us. That's the one thing that I don't understand, is why now they're telling us that it has been pushed back. Why didn't they tell us this back in September or August or around Comic-Con? Because we were just sitting there at Comic-Con like, where's the trailer? And this movie's supposed to come out in March, and all of a sudden now it's coming out in November. And I don't know why they waited till now to tell everybody. They could have just told everyone back like 3 months ago. Fingers crossed that they like still deliver us a good movie, and instead just focus on making a better human story, which is really why a lot of people had problems with King of the Monsters, and also just work better on the hype and the marketing for the film. I think Kong is really going to help sell the film a lot. I think it's very straightforward, Godzilla vs. Kong. If it's that story, you know, I think this film, what will help it succeed is it needs to follow the Civil War route, right? Like Marvel or Captain America Civil War is the Civil War, right? And it's pretty much Iron Man versus Captain America the whole movie, whereas Batman versus Superman was supposed to be Batman versus Superman, but they just threw in all this stuff of Doomsday and Lex Luthor, and then they brought in Wonder Woman, and all of a sudden it was just like a mini Justice League movie. So I hope this film really sticks to Godzilla versus Kong and follows more of the Civil War route. Like, you can have other monsters, but the main conflict should be between Godzilla and Kong. Now, 8 months is a very long time. And it's a very long time, and you know, and these people are not stupid. Like, people like to make fun of studio execs and stuff, but these people know what they're doing. They've been in this industry many years. They know what works, what doesn't work. and they can have the best creative people look at this film and make sure it's working or not, and they can go back and do rewrites and reshoots if they need to, tweak things, fix things up. I mean, look at Sonic the Hedgehog. It's a weird comparison, but they did go back in and they updated the design for Sonic the Hedgehog, and everybody's happy, right? Sometimes movies just need a little bit more work, and I think for Godzilla vs. Kong, they can go back in and they can take another look at it, make sure it's the film that they think will really sell, and kind of keep the MonsterVerse going. I think in general, it's not bad news. I think it makes sense more than anything else because they've just been so quiet about this. And maybe at the worst, you'll have to wait 8 months for new figures, 8 months for new merch, but I think you'll be all right. And we're probably still not getting the NECA Ghidorah anytime soon, so don't worry about it. I know that's like a running joke at this point, but I just think that it's gonna be okay. And maybe it's a good thing. Maybe that means like we get to enjoy 2020, to really get excited and hyped. And then of course, we've got more stuff coming in 2021. But I think it's good and it's bad, but it is what it is, and I think it's probably better in the long run for the film, honestly. I would rather have them make it right than try and rush it out and finish it in a few months if it's not ready. Before this big news hits, there was Tokyo City Comic Con. So there were a lot of things announced at Tokyo City Comic Con, but I think the biggest news was the announcement that Ultraman was coming to Marvel. Tsuburaya Productions and Marvel Studios are teaming up to bring Ultraman to the Marvel Comics. They've got this new collaboration going on. They announced everything, that they're very excited to bring the long history of Ultraman to comics, and they really cherish the character. It's very iconic, it's been around for 50 years. But what they've kind of specifically said is that they want to focus on the original generation, the first generation of Ultramen, or of Ultraman. And so does that mean then that the comics is based off the original 1966 Ultraman? Because they said first generation, I mean, that could mean Ultraman, that could mean Ultra Ace and Ultra 7 as well. Now, of course, it's also one issue series, I'm assuming at this point. And that means that they probably, if it does well, they can do more, and then they can expand and bring in Ultra 7 and Ultra Ace, and bring in more stories and do mini-series and other things and spin-offs and all that. There's a lot they can do with it. This reminds me of when IDW started their Godzilla comics and how excited we all were. But then the first series wasn't so great, but then eventually they got better. We got great things out of that. Godzilla, I really enjoyed Cataclysm, for example. Godzilla in Hell came out of that. Rulers of Earth is really well, I think, regarded by a lot of fans. It was just that first series that wasn't all that great. I didn't really much care for Gangsters and Goliaths either. Over time, it got a lot better, and it's kind of a pity. I believe IDW lost the rights, or not lost the rights, but the rights expired. But this is really exciting because we finally get a Ultraman into, shall we say, Western American comics, because we've had the manga the past few years, which is obviously now being adapted into the anime series. But we haven't really had like an American-style Western comic series. So that's really cool. And I think it fits really well with Marvel because Ultraman is kind of like a superhero. He's like a giant Power Ranger in many ways. The Power Rangers are inspired from the original Ultraman series. So, well, actually, Power Rangers comes from Super Sentai, which is inspired by the Ultraman series. And I think that it works really well with Marvel and their whole slate of comic book superheroes. I think they can bring those kind of heroic elements to Ultraman. I like that they're starting with the original Ultraman, and honestly, I hope it is set in the 1960s. Like, I would enjoy a period piece Ultraman comic series because that would be really cool. They could make it campy and fun and very silly and in with that style. And then maybe start to develop, make spin-offs and everything, and if it's very successful, continue an ongoing series. I think it's really cool, and I think that 2020 is going to be a good year for Ultraman, and 2021 as well, because it's going to be the Marvel Comics. Season 2 of the Netflix series is coming in 2020. Shin Ultraman is coming out in 2021. So it's a really good time to be an Ultraman fan as well as a Godzilla fan now. But I think it's going to be really cool. I want to definitely get my hands on the comics. With that first run of the IDW Godzilla comics, the quality wasn't really great. Understandably, they got better over time. And so with this, I'm gonna be a little hesitant. You know, they've been trying to do a lot of kaiju comics. With the MonsterVerse, they have a lot of those. I haven't really read any, but I hear they're not bad. And then there was like a separate, not related King Kong prequel comic series, which wasn't bad either. I think some of the late IDW Godzilla comics were some of the best. That, like I said, Rules of Earth, Cataclysm, Half Century War, Godzilla in Hell. I really remember those, and they were really cool, and I got getting a chance to read them. But I feel like nothing since then has really blown me away. Now I could be wrong. Maybe I need to go and check out some of the MonsterVerse comics, you know. Maybe they are of higher quality. But I don't know. I just haven't been kind of so into that. But I am now, maybe I'll get back into kaiju comics if they're doing an Ultraman one. And I think Ultraman works really well for comics. Matt Frank has been doing for some time now a series called The Kaiju Killer, which I've been really wanting to get into. And he's kind of like he's a spin-off of Ultraman. Well, originally a spin-off of the Ultraman series that was kind of more vague and everything. And now they've given him a comic book series, which I think now is like in a second volume set already. And it's been quite successful. So that's one I've been kind of wanting to check out. I think it might be pretty good. And of course, I really like Matt Frank's art. He's a fantastic artist. I want to check it out. And of course, I've been trying to get more and more into Ultraman, if it doesn't seem obvious. And I want to take in as much as I can. For someone who's not really a huge Ultraman fan yet, maybe getting there, I am still really excited for this. One, of course, because it's always cool to have more kaiju-related comics. I'm hoping to see more Ultraman-related stuff. Well, I don't know what else at this point, right? We've got an anime series that's pretty good so far. We've got a movie coming out that I think could be quite interesting, to say the least. And now we've got a Marvel Comics. All we really need now is a good Ultraman video game, and I'd be down for a like Ultraman Arcade Fighters type game. That would be awesome, like a Mortal Kombat. Just get NetherRealm, the video game studio responsible for the awesome Mortal Kombat games we have now. Get them to make an Ultraman fighting game, but it's just exciting news. And so it kind of balances out this whole story of, well, Godzilla vs. Kong getting delayed, but hey, we're getting Ultraman comics. So it's kind of one of those things where, glass half full, I guess, way to see it. And I'm sure we'll get a trailer for Godzilla vs. Kong very soon. Then coming up next week is the CCXP. I believe it's a big comic convention in Brazil that Legendary and Warner Brothers are going to have a big panel at. So definitely be expecting some presentation of Godzilla vs. Kong there, maybe even a trailer, but I don't think they're going to drop a trailer. If they're going to go there, they're probably just going to present the trailer to the audience. And then I would guess that they would drop the trailer like a week later online. That's kind of what they did last year. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of news vlog thing to keep you guys somewhat attuned to what's going on. Things are moving in a way, so it's good and bad, and it is what it is, but I'm still very excited for this film, and I'm excited for everything that's going on. I think 2020 is still going to be a great year for kaiju fans. The past couple years have been incredible. I think 2020 is going to continue this trend, and I'm just overall feeling very good and very excited. So, like, share, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!